Welcome to this episode of the build log of Micro Flash Gamma. I'm Jason, the creator of Team Rocco Robotics. Now back in episode 4, what I did is I went ahead and I kind of built a test frame of the robot, but I wasn't terribly confident with that design if I keep it under weight or not. So this time what I need to do is figure out, one, how's the weapon system going to work, and then based on that make some changes to keep this robot underweight and eventually build a second test frame. So today we're going to spend most of the time in Blender figuring out the weapon design. So this here is my Google spreadsheet that I keep track of the mass of the robot. I believe I mentioned way back at the start exactly how I had some of the ideal weights separated out. So structure and armor, I wanted them to have a total of 400 grams. The weapon system was around 400 grams as well. The drive system was at 250. And electronics were also at 250 grams. And what I'm going to do first is just figure out the basic size dimensions of this weapon system, and then from there I can start doing the math required for the aluminum structure. Our design from last time, so that is what you're looking at right there. That is the 3D printed piece that I've got sitting over there on the desk at the moment. So there we go back. Is that thing right there? That's that guy. Now we got to work on what's going on here in the front, because that's obviously the most important problem at the moment. I'm thinking that there's going to end up being a separate top and bottom plate to the robot in terms of these weapon plates, and the bottom one could just have some spots here that are drilled out to let the bolts go through the aluminum structure, not secured to it, to attach to the motor mounts. That way the motor mounts are not taking any shock from the weapon hits. Step 1, reduce the height of the robot, or the height of the side here, by 3 millimeters. I can't do that. Well, that was a rough start to step 1. Step 1, redesign the motor mount slightly. This 8-inch weapon, honestly, it's not going to be practical. I'm pushing, I think, the limits of it. So this thing here, what if I do a 7.5-inch weapon plus 0.5 inches, of course, for a 1/4-inch buffer zone, and let's go back to our original size of 203. So by reducing the diameter of the weapon by 1/2 inch, I only managed to save 0.5 cubic centimeters of the volume of these weapon mounts. This piece in the bottom's too close to those motor mount bolt holes. So I need to blow those things up, and yay, more face surgery. Now I gotta figure out how these attach to the body of the robot. The idea was to have some UMHW. So this is some 1/2-inch thick UMHW. One thought was to actually have bolts that run through it like this, and then that would basically run from top to bottom of the robot and hold the top half of the frame to the bottom half of the frame, and then this would help stick it to the side of the robot. Maybe? I'm not entirely convinced that these things would be great at absorbing the impacts of the weapon, because my weapon is designed to destroy this material. So let's just try it, and hopefully the robot doesn't destroy itself, right? It's a relatively easy thing to swap out late in the game if I have to. Now the goal at this point is to actually 3D print the entire drive system for the weapon. This may be a terrible idea, but I'll find it out later. So first things first, I need to create some pulleys, which are actually kind of easy to create in Blender. You just take some cylinders, kind of do some radial cuts, and then shrink the middle in using proportional editing, and you get something that basically looks like a pulley. As for the drive belt itself, the plan here is to be using some TPU 95A material. As the Ultimaker brand of this material claims to be ready for production drive belts. I don't know, probably not for combat robot stuff, but we'll figure that out later. So all I had to do is I used a curve, traced around the positions of the pulleys, then I calculated the length of that curve that I created there, and turned that into a rough diameter of what I think an actual drive belt would be. Then by taking a profile slice of what I think my drive belt will look like, kind of lining it along the curve here using some of the fancier Blender tools, I've got what I think is going to be a drive belt that should work for my robot. Well, there you go. That is pretty much the design I'm going to be working with for the weapon of Micro Flash Gamma. Probably a few more details to sort out in terms of diameter of the pulleys and things like that, but that will all be figured out in time. But I want to thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm Jason, the creator of Team Rocket Robotics. If you're watching this live on twitch.tv, feel free to hit that follow button to get the latest notifications of when I go live for building this robot. Or of course, if you're over on YouTube, hit that subscribe to get the latest build log episodes there. So thanks for watching and have a good night.